Hello class, Mr. Guarino here. In this video I'm going to illustrate how to make an animation of a character walk cycle from the character that you were supposed to cut up in Photoshop. And if you remember, something I want to show you is you're supposed to round off the edges and do some painting work in Photoshop so that when these arms and legs move in Adobe Animate, you don't see a gap in between them. So for instance, let me undo that and just go over this again real quickly. If I click on this one, which I didn't properly do, let me zoom in and move this over and put this rotation point over where I think the two arms meet, two pieces of the arm meet. When I turn this, it looks like that. You get this big opening in here. Now, it might not be that big of an opening when in the animation, but I think it would still be noticeable. Whereas the hand, if I do Control T after I click on the hand, by clicking on the hand it usually selects the layer, and I put this rotation point down by the wrist, because I rounded those, it looks better. And I think this piece was supposed to be above that, but you get the point, okay? It's supposed to be left hand, left lower arm, like this. No, it is supposed to be the other way. It just is, let's see, do it again. Maybe just going like that. Okay, so you don't see any opening. So that's what you're supposed to do. So let me not accept this and zoom back out. So I did the legs and the feet, little rounded edges. Hey, I'm not the best artist in the world. This looks a little choppy. Okay, over here, not so good. But again, I'm just doing it to show you what to do. So I'm going to undo all that. In fact, I'm going to close this out and not save it. So then I'm going to go into Animate and make an animation. So here's the goal of this project. Once you have that character all cut up and properly prepared, we want to make this. Okay, so my SpongeBob character moves across the screen and his arms and legs are moving. Okay, I've already published this. Sometimes when I publish it again, it doesn't quite work right. So I'm just going to, from my published, when I finish this thing, it was published on February 26th. And since I haven't changed anything, I can just double click my HTML file. My default browser is Microsoft Edge. Chrome, Edge, whatever. So when I double click this, it opens the HTML file and runs the JavaScript that contains all the code for the animation. So let me double click that.
Are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain! I can't hear you!
So obviously it plays the SpongeBob song when I click on that button. And at least in Edge, you can click this and mute the song. Okay, so that should be muted now, hopefully in the video. And he just keeps replaying. So the reason why I did a button for the song is because just dragging a song onto a layer in Animate will make it play, but the properties were a little difficult to get to work right. It either played and then stopped at the end of the animation and restarted, or played and then kept playing while another instance of the song played over it. So I didn't want any of those, so I did some research and found out one of the best ways to do it is with a button. So I made just a little rectangle, click on it, starts a song, and then it just keeps playing. Okay, so that's the goal. That's what we want to do. So let me leave this open and just start a new one. File new. Leave it on 1280, frame rate at 30, HTML5 canvas. Create. And then I want to import. First thing I want to do is import SpongeBob. Actually, first thing I want to do is I want my stage to be transparent. And then I'm going to import my cut up character properly prepared into the library. So that's SpongeBob for animation. That's what I saved it as. Open that. Here's all my layers. And notice the last time I saved it, I had on the pink layer, so it would bring that in as part of the object that I'm importing here, but you get this option here, and the reason why they give you this option is you can say, oh, you know what? No, I don't want this layer from Photoshop, thank you. And then say import. And of course I imported only to the library, so I have to go back to the library. And here's a graphic symbol that contains all the pieces. Here's a folder that also contains all the pieces. So you could put each one of these onto its own separate layer, but it did a good job by giving you the graphic symbol and all the pieces in there. So if I drag this on the screen and maybe just zoom out a little bit, you'll see that it looks like one thing because it's a symbol, but if I double click on it, you'll see all the pieces. And it did a pretty good job in this symbol of naming each layer the same name as the layers in my Photoshop file. There is a default layer that was there that's now empty that I can delete, but I'm actually going to need it in a minute, so I'm going to just leave it there. And so what we want to do is use this tool called the bone tool to connect things. But you probably don't see this bone tool on your toolbar because it's not on by default. So let me go to my workspaces, window workspaces, and reset my essentials workspace, and you'll notice that bone tool is now disappeared. And this has just made it go down there a little bit, and I'll just bring it back up so you can see all the layers. So to get that bone tool on, you click these three dots, edit toolbar. Here's the bone tool. You click, hold down, drag, and you put it anywhere you want. I'm going to put it at the bottom. And then you click these three lines and you say close. So now your bone tool is there. And we can link all of our pieces together with this bone tool so that the arms and legs move like arms and legs are supposed to move. Basically like you're doing the bones, the skeleton. But a trick that I learned by watching a bunch of things is it's a little hard to move the hand to make the arm look good without something outside the hand to help make it move. So before we start connecting things, we're going to do a couple things to prepare. So first I'm going to go to my move tool, click away from everything. When you drag with the bone tool, if you're trying to go from the body to this arm and you go too far and you get the lower arm, then all of a sudden the body's connected to the forearm instead of the upper arm. So it's very helpful, pretty much essential, to explode this view so you can see all your separate pieces and make sure you're dragging to the correct piece. Let me move these apart. And let's see, maybe move this down just a little bit. Give me some more room. I know I'm off the stage right now, but it doesn't matter. Oop, I got the body by accident. Get the leg, this other foot, this leg, that part of the leg, and that part of the leg. So now I want something outside the hand that I can use to control the hand. So let's call it a controller. So this layer right here, I'm actually going to drag that up to the top just because I want it there. And I'm going to rename it controller. So now on that layer, I'm going to draw some circles. So I'm going to click on my rectangle / oval tool, go down and choose oval. Some color that stands out. Red's pretty good. No stroke. Turn off the stroke. Click here to choose the color. Click there, choose any color you want. I like the red. And then you can click and drag. If you don't hold down shift, you can make an oval. And I kind of want a circle, so I'm going to hold down the shift key so I get just a circle and about that size. It doesn't matter how big it is. And then click on the move tool, click the circle, press Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then take that one, put it outside one of the feet, paste again, take that, put it outside the other foot, paste again, put that outside the hand, paste again, and this is going to be my sort of centered one right below his body. Now that I have that all done, I can start using my bone tool. So I click on the bone tool and I start at the center one and I drag, click, hold down, drag up to the body. You may not notice it, but something just happened here on the layers. Every time you connect something together, it creates an armature layer. And as you connect another thing from one thing to the next, like the body to the upper left arm, the upper left arm disappears. It's no longer its own piece, it's now part of the armature. So every time I drag and connect, another layer will disappear. And I go to the hand, and then I go to the controller. Now the controller layer did not just disappear because there's other controllers on that layer. But when I connect the last one, that layer should, if not disappear, at least be empty. So now from the center to that arm, from that part of the arm to the other part, from that part of the arm to the hand, from the hand to that controller. I want it in the center, it jumped to the end, we'll move it later. And then from not this center, but this center, go to the leg, go to the, oops, almost made a mistake. I'm not supposed to go from the center to this part of the leg. This part of the leg goes to that part of the leg. So upper leg to lower leg to foot, foot to controller. Notice the layers are all disappearing. And then clicking from the center to the upper leg to the lower leg to the foot, and then the last controller, connect that, and you'll see, did I miss a controller? So I think I got an extra controller under here, and that's why this didn't disappear. Now I'm going to be smart. Instead of looking around, why don't I just turn off the armature layer, and haha, there's my controller. So I click on that and delete it, so now this layer is empty. So if it disappeared on you, then fine. If it didn't, if it just became empty, then just delete it. Okay, so I put this one back on, and now here's my exploded SpongeBob, and I can shrink this down now because I only have one layer. So now I'm going to put all the pieces back together. With the Move tool selected, it wants to move the bones. So we have to actually go to our Free Transform tool. And click on things. Oops, not the body. Click on the arm and move it over. Now the reason why when I clicked over here it chose the body, because right now the body's in front of the arm. So really the body, I think, well, it depends on what we're doing. For right now, let me right click on it and say arrange, send to back, so it's behind everything. So when I click on things, I don't accidentally get the body. So like when I click on this arm, it's not going to get the body. I have to actually click on the body to get the body. So now, makes it just easier to move things around. So I have that, and I'm going to move this arm in. If it's not perfect, I'll zoom in and fix it, but let me just get them close for now. Move the controller. This is supposed to be behind, so we're going to have to fix that. I'll put this close, put this close. You know, the mouse is set to like snap, and that usually is helpful. Sometimes it's annoying. You can turn it off, but then you'll want it back on at some instance, so there's ways around it. So let's just move all this stuff. Move this over here. Oops, got it now. And move that over there. Okay, and then zoom in a little bit, maybe even a lot. Let's do this arm first. So now this has to obviously be behind the body. We can right click, go to arrange, or hold down control and press the down arrow. And eventually, I think I pressed the down arrow 3 times, it went behind there. And that looks like it's positioned pretty good, I think. Yeah. I'm seeing right now my Photoshop work wasn't so good because I see a little white and a little black there. But hey, that was not being super careful because I wanted to get done with the video. And let me rearrange these. So you can see it's not lined up perfectly, but I could use the arrow keys on my keyboard. Now it looks better to reposition. And this goes there, looks good. I'll move this out a little bit. And then also you want to move the rotation points. So I'm going to click here. This rotation point looks pretty good. Notice the cursor goes from the arrow with basically the plus sign and 4 arrows on it to just a dot. And that lets me move the rotation point. Now click on this. I want this rotation point down by the elbow basically. This rotation point should be by the wrist. And the controller's rotation point, it doesn't have to be in the center, but you know, like why not? So it looks good. Come over here. This one is in the front. So that's okay. In front of the body, I should say. That's good because we have the circular part behind. And this is good. So that looks good. Click here, move my rotation point. Click here, move my rotation point. Click here. Just moving the rotation points. And go down and do the feet. So now this is obviously supposed to be behind the body, so while it's selected, I'll hold down Control and press down arrow until it goes behind. Move this foot down a little. Put this, supposed to be like this. Move it over with the arrow so it looks good. And then the shoe. Now the shoe is supposed to be, I think, in front of that because it doesn't look right. So let me press Control and then up. There we go. Now the shoe is in front. And I can't get it to go where I want, so I'm going to use the arrow keys. Bunch of times. That looks good. Move this up a little. The controller looks okay for that. Move this into place. Press Control down. Move the foot away a little bit. Move this. Right, move those arrow, with the arrow keys, move that, and then this, again, should be above it, so move it above, the leg goes inside the shoe, at least that's what I think I want, and then I don't think I moved the rotation points, I moved that one, this one I have to move over here, I think that's about right, this one should be where like the ankle joint is. I can move this circle down a little, move its rotation point to the center. This one should be at the ankle. This one should be at basically the knee. And this one at the hip. And how about this controller? Nice to have it in the center. Move this at the end of the foot. Zoom back out. And I'm pretty much all prepared. Zoom in a little. And let's see. So now, if I want to show you how this works, if I click back on the Move tool and I go out here, you can see the way this is supposed to move. Like it's connected. But also, notice his shoulder is going up and down. Let me undo that. A shoulder doesn't move, it rotates, but it doesn't move up and down. So this linkage right here should not be rotating. So I can click on that and then go over to Object, Joint Rotation, and turn that off. So now that should be pinned. So it rotates, but it doesn't slide up and down. That's weird. People's shoulders don't do that, right? I know SpongeBob's not a person, but I mean, you know what I mean. And then we can do that. Now you would think that this would also need to be done, but it kind of knows that from that center point, those first linkages coming out from there should all be locked. So by doing one, you do the others, but maybe not because this one didn't lock. So let's click on there and go to Joint Rotation is supposed to be off. I don't know why that's moving. Oh, maybe that was just me the way I was looking at it. Yeah, I guess it wasn't moving, it's just rotating. So that's good. Okay, so now we're going to make a 30 frame animation. This is going to be forward, my left arm forward. Oh, I like that, the way that bent the elbow. That's forward, right? Forward. And this one's going to be back. I think I'll put this back like this. And that would mean that this is forward, but then this is back. Something like that. So then I go out to frame 30, press F6. So now he's in the same position at 30 and 0, or 1, I should say. So go to frame 15 halfway and do it the other way. So I'm going to put this up in the air, like that. Put this one down. Now, of course, as he goes down, that's supposed to go behind his body. So I'm going to rearrange that by clicking on this and pressing the down arrow so it goes behind the body. How about this arm? This piece of the arm should be behind as well. Okay. And then I hope I'm clicking on the right thing. Yeah, this foot's going to go forward. And this foot's going to go back. I mean, I think I got that right. So now we have this. So he's walking. So remember, set that beginning pose first, then click on frame 30, press F6, and you'll have the same pose there. And they call it pose, so if you wanted to do another one to kind of smooth it out, like an in-between one, halfway, you could right-click, and it's insert instead of frame, insert pose, because it's like the pose of the character's animation. But you can see right now we got a halfway decent walk cycle. Okay, so now, that's the symbol. The symbol now has that walk cycle. If I go back to scene 1, he's just here. So now I want to go out to, like, I can't show him move him because I can't drag the playhead because I only have one frame. His embedded animation, though, is that walk cycle. So just like the bird we did with the frame by frame thing, this animation now, wherever he moves on the screen, he'll be moving his arms and legs. But before I go into that, there's one last thing I should do. These controllers are going to be in the animation. So let's go back to scene 1. So you're going to see those circles, and we don't want to see that, so we can turn them off. Now that we're done with our bone tool, we click here on our move tool, just click that. Or is it the free transform tool? So I can select that, color effect, alpha, and if you turn the alpha down to 0, it disappears. In fact, since the alpha is at 100, the program kind of knows, hey, if you're going to alpha, you probably want to make it 0, because if you wanted to make it 100, it already is there. Why would you bother? So every time you click there and just choose alpha on each circle, it puts it down to 0. And then they will not be there. I mean, they're there, you just won't see them, which is what we want. Okay, so now I have my symbol. It's built-in animation. I'm going to go out to frame. So it's 30 frames. So I'm going to make a 5-second animation. So I'm going to go out to frame 150. It even says 5 seconds above there. And press F5. So now as I drag this, right, he's walking wherever I go. But we don't just want that, we want him to, have a nice background. So I'm going to add a layer, and that's going to be the background. So I'll put BG. This layer is SpongeBob, right? SB, SpongeBob. Put the background underneath. Go up to File, Import to Library. I downloaded this previously, Cont Street. Open that. It's in the library. Here it is. Make sure I'm on the BG layer, which I am. Drag that onto the screen. It's way big, but that's okay. We'll go to our Align tool, making sure Align to Stage is checked. I click Match Width and Height, and then I align it to the left. Then I align it to the top. And now I have my nice background. Once I get that perfectly aligned, might as well lock it so I never mess it up. And I think you'll agree SpongeBob is kind of big right there. So we can just, since he's a symbol, even though he's big in the symbol view, here we can just free transform him, holding down the Shift key and putting him like this. So now to do the animation, I'm going to put him off the screen here, and I'm going to right click on his layer, create a motion tween, and then make sure this playhead is back at the beginning. I'm going to want him to walk across this way, and then I think I'll make him come back this way and go home. Let's see if I can do that. So maybe let's see. Maybe I'll make this a little longer. Instead of 5 seconds, let's make it 7 seconds. So let me click here and press F5, and then go back to the beginning. Because if you make it too short, as he walks, his arms and legs kind of flail really quickly and you don't really get to see it. So I think I'm going to walk across the stage in, like, let's say 3 seconds. So go out to here and press, or right click I should say, insert keyframe all, and I'm gonna drag him across the screen over to here, and maybe, oops, not that. I want to, oh, I gotta be on my move tool. I want to bend this down a little bit. There we go. And then on the next frame, go to the next, there it is. Right click, insert keyframe, all, and then I'm going to flip him, transform, oops, and then at frame, maybe, I don't know, 150, I'll have him go back over here. So I'll right click, insert keyframe all, and oops, right click, insert keyframe. Did I miss it? I guess I missed it, I don't know. And then I'm going to make him come over here, and then go out to, not 210, I don't know, maybe 190, and then right click, insert keyframe all, and then I'm going to make a move like he's going into his house, and maybe there I'll go to the free transform tool and shrink him down like he's going in. Alright, so let's see how that plays. So he walks across, it's like, dopey SpongeBob, you missed your house. So then he flips around, oh, there's my house. He comes back, and I don't know why I have that swoop over there instead of just going straight down the walkway. So if we zoom in, can't even see the path because it's like that blue. A little hard to see, but I guess I can go like this and drag it, and then let's see. There we go. Okay, so he did a little jiggle. That's okay. He was confused. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do, and then he's home. Okay, so that's my animation. I should have saved this previously because it's always good to save as you go along, but let me save it as SpongeBob 3. Obviously I've been playing around with this a lot, so then let's take a look at it. File, publish settings. Yes, that's the right folder, so say OK, and then hit Control Enter, and it should publish to the folder, and then open in Microsoft Edge. Okay, and so here's the animation playing. I had a little glitch there, my Animate crashed, so I had to restart it, and then I published it, and here's it playing. So there you go. There's the animation that we were looking to do. The part with the button for the sound we'll do in another video because this one's already kind of long. So thank you and good luck.